Uh-huh.
When it's referring to a say, for instance, they say, okay, you're down 2 points in the polls.
Percentage
Is
points.
that percentage points?
I'm assuming, that's my question back to you, is that's what they
I don't
usually
know.
talk about.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
They usually talk about that, percentage points, like one's 46, one's 44, they're down 2. Although they're not down 2, because they haven't looked at a margin of error.
I was just going to say they make it such a big deal.
Well, of course they do, because that way they can keep writing the news story that contradicts what they said the day before, and keep their jobs. I was actually at the hospital this weekend, and a doctor used a term, I'm like, wait a minute, what does that mean? He's like, oh, that just means blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why didn't you just say that? And he half jokingly said, oh, if we make up new terms, that means I can have a specialty. And he's like, ha ha ha, and I'm like, So you know, I was already in a shitty mood anyway, but then to hear that, then I think that's what it is, it's like self-perpetuation. I mean, you ask somebody a simple question like, what does 50% mean?
Yeah, that makes sense because when in this specific article they were referring to people who in states like Arizona won the Democratic seat, you know, 4 years ago, up by 6 polls, and then they referred to the...
Sure. They're trying to find patterns in the
They're trying to
randomness.
find a pattern, which ultimately people are random, so...
Sort of, but the problem is that people are also swayed by media. It's a snake chasing its own tail.
It really is.
Because I mean, if you think about this, Measure 92 failed. Barely. But Measure 92 failed. For lots,
That was the GMO one, right?
the GMO one.
Yeah.
The main reason Measure 92 failed, from what I can understand, is people believed the negative ads that came out about Measure 92. This is going to cost you this. All you had to do was do a little bit of research for 10 minutes and realize that was complete hoo-ha. But Monsanto proved over and over again that it was going to be too expensive for families. It doesn't cost you a damn thing not to buy somebody's food because it says non-GMO on it.
That's right.
I mean, that's the thing, is that it doesn't cost you a damn thing. You can still buy anything you want, but that part wasn't painted for us.
Well, I was saying, I read a study that said that the average amount of cost increase for the average American was $1.50 per person per year.
Per person per year. That is hardly the millions and millions of blah, 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 blah. I mean, but nobody, you see, you actually took 2 minutes to read that. Most people just see, I'm a local family farmer in Oregon, and this is going to cost me a lot of money. Actually, it's not going to cost you that much money, but Monsanto paid that person really well to say that. Sorry. That's why I think, say that again. Monsanto. They care. It's funny, I sent them a note on their Facebook page, because I was really nice about it. I said, I find it strange that a company that is saying GMOs are not harmful, and honestly, the research is still out on whether they are or not. To be perfectly honest, it's not like hydrogenated oils that have been shown they're bad. But the thing is that if your research continually shows that GMOs are not harmful, why would you spend $6+ million to fight labeling of something that doesn't matter anyway? It's not your money. You've actually spent more money in fighting it than will be spent labeling. Haven't heard that thread yet. What's funny is the people that are pro Monsanto in the thread keep saying, I feel we've answered this question already, and I'm scrolling through, I'm like, you haven't. You keep saying you've answered if you haven't answered anything. Why? Why? Until that question gets answered, I don't know what to think. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting pissed off now.
I know.
But that's why I don't think the public is random. I think the public is led around by its nose because they don't understand how to pay attention to news sources.
Sometimes it can appear random because sometimes people vote for off the gut.
I like what you said, jury. It can appear random, much in the same way. I like what you just said. Did you guys hear, I think I may have told you this, there was a Democratic bias this time around in the polls, which means the pollsters were calling Democrats to win more than they did and by larger margins than they did. Well, they didn't. 4 years ago, it went the other way. They were calling the GOP to overthrow, and the Dems did. That's the appearance of a coin flip, isn't it? But any statistic, it is, because it flip-flopped. That's the appearance of what people who don't understand randomness would appear a coin flip looks like. Heads, tails, heads, tails. No. It's the appearance of randomness. It's the appearance of randomness, because if it was this way, it's then going to correct and catch up in one. It's almost like my stat prof saying, I just saw 12 heads in a row. I'm going to bet on tails now.
Right.
Why? It's just as likely to be heads again, right? I mean, think about it this way. Think about that logic this way. Suppose you've watched the 10th game. You've seen 10 heads in a row. I mean, that's pretty unlikely too. It's not as unlikely as 12. And then the next heads come up. You would have bet on tails then too, wouldn't you? And then when the 11th one came up heads, he said, it's definitely going to be tails next. And then it's heads again. At this point, you start drinking, right? Because you don't understand randomness, except you do understand randomness. Allow me to elucidate. And jury, I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect. I'm saying I look at it a different way. Again, a little bit more skeptical. A lot of it's more pessimistic.